Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy. Joining me this morning, Hartwell. Good morning, Hartwell.
Good morning, Kris. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, our subject this morning is the gates of Scorpio. So I'm thinking that we'll probably have quite a bit to chat about this morning, Mr. Scorpio. um, so where we usually start is the qualities that are associated with Scorpio. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Um, well, sure. There's kind of like the comic book stereotypes of Scorpio. It's like jealous and possessive and intense and sexual. Scorpio is known for being impatient with superficiality, impatient, wanting to get to the depth of things, the heart of things,
Mm-hmm.
taking things really seriously. Exploring the occult, exploring the hidden principles of life, wanting to dig down and get to the nitty gritty. Death,
Right.
transformation are associated with Scorpio. The idea of self destruction through getting, but also the sense of resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
those are a couple of things that come to my mind.
cool. So the archetypes, can you tell us a little bit about the archetypes that may be associated?
Yes. Well, if we boil down some of those qualities I just mentioned into some ideas, the investor, somebody who invests in a spiritual search, somebody who invests in money, who explores that. Sex and death and money are associated with Scorpio because these things lead us to the most intense experiences in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So the investigator, the researcher,
Mm-hmm.
the investigator, like the detective kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
getting to the heart of things.
Mm-hmm.
But also the alchemist, the idea of um, transmuting one thing into another, mixing elements, and the idea of the shaman who confronts the shadow side of life,
Yeah.
who travels between different dimensions of experience.
Well, it's
These
all
are
about transformation, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So if we had to guess which gates or which links there were between Scorpio and human design, what were your guesses?
Well, one guess would be, maybe they'd have some emotional gates, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
solar plexus gates, because Scorpio is another one of the water signs, which is linked with emotion. Um, Another sense would be independent, a sense of rebelliousness or independence. I might associate, what the individual circuitry is about being a rebel,
Mm-hmm.
about being unconcerned about the opinions of other people. And
Right.
so, that could have been a guess that I would have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because also, Scorpio can be quite melancholic. So, and the individual
Mm-hmm.
circuitry is associated with that.
Right. So what did you find when you looked into the gates of Scorpio? Were you
Well,
surprised?
no.
No.
Well, yes and no. Uh,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
let's sum that up, but let's talk about what are the gates. So we had gate 50, which we saw last week, which was, 2/3 in Libra and a third in Scorpio. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the gate of values in the spleen. And it was about the guardian of the values of the tribe, if you remember,
Mm-hmm.
right? We talked about that and how, you know, um, how gate 50 guards the values and it holds people to um, the tribal rules, but if the rules aren't working, it also challenges them. So it's a tribal gate out of the spleen. And we talked about how it does feel a little bit like Libra, because Libra has been known to be about justice.
Mm-hmm.
But it also feels like Scorpio too, this sense of energetically, it feels kind of like Scorpio. It feels quite serious, quite kind of heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next gate we have is gate 28.
Mm-hmm.
Gate 28 is called the gate of the game player. It's in the spleen as well. And it's part of the individual circuitry.
Mm-hmm.
And the spleen is about survival fears. Okay. And this is a fear that life might end before we find a sense of what makes it worthwhile, what gives it meaning. So it asks the questions, what risks make life feel worthwhile? So it can play games with life and death. And, its shadow side is purposelessness. That sense of how we act out when life feels purposeless to us, and what we might do to find that purpose.
Right.
So that feels very Scorpio to me.
Yeah.
That feels very Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
The next gate is also in the spleen. It's the gate of alertness, and it's part of a tribal circuitry. This is tribal memory of the patterns that have been successful at keeping the tribes alive in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And it is alert in the moment for the opportunities that will enhance the survival ability of a tribe. So it has a little bit of a future orientedness for the sake of the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
It's also related to, in a sense, teamwork and tribal propaganda. It's kind of like, okay, what do we got to do to get people all on board and kind of go in a direction that is going to be best for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
The next gate 1, is a gate in the G center, and it's an individual gate. It's called the gate of self-expression. And this is the drive and deep need to express oneself in unique and creative ways. It says you must live your own creative nature. You must be authentic. And so it's a creativity that can inspire others by example. And it needs to be seen and heard. It needs to show up. And when somebody is truly individual and truly authentic, that can't be hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Authenticity does not hide.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this does feel part of what Scorpio is about too, that sense of, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be authentic no matter what the cost.
Right.
So that feels quite Scorpio to me as well. It's kind of like this primal quality. It's one of the 4 pillars, that are mentioned in the Bible. Gate 1. And the next gate 43, is called the gate of insight. It's in the ajna, pointing down toward the throat. It's called the gate of insight. I think I said that already. It's individual. It's about the inner ear. It's about listening for our inner voice. It's like tuning into our inner voice. What is it saying? What insights is it potentially bringing me? It's all about breaking through to a new intellectual perspective. And interestingly, it's called the gate of deafness. It's like I can't listen to other people. It's like it's actually a built-in thing. It's not an intentional.
No, it happens automatically. I can speak to that because I have it. So
yes, it's not intentional. Yeah. The person doesn't intend to be hard to influence by others. It's just the genetic intention behind this gate is to pay attention to your own inner voice rather than the voice of others. And that's sort of, you could project all over whatever that would be. And that feels very Scorpio too. Scorpios get projected on.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
the,
think too, with that one, speaking
yeah,
to that one, is when I do listen to others rather than my own inner voice, that's when I get myself in trouble. I'm not listening to my design. I'm not living my design when I allow other people to influence me rather than going within. So
right.
I can see the effects of that gate.
Yes, and also one needs to listen within in order to bring forth the epiphanies and the breakthroughs in intellectual insight that are going to be powerful,
Hmm.
for yourself and for the collective, for whoever has the gate.
Hmm.
Um, the final gate, gate 14, is called the gate of power skills. It's in the sacral center, and it's an individual, again, part of the individual circuitry.
Hmm.
It empowers for the direction of humanity. So, for instance, it gives the power and the juice for us to follow the purpose. So it's not awareness of purpose itself, but
Hmm.
it is the power to follow and support that purpose. So it's supporting mutation. It's about fertility. It's about abundance. It's about having the juice to back up and follow the direction that is coming through its opposite side, of course, the two.
Hmm.
Um, so it is juicy, it is sexual, it's part of the sacral center. Um, yeah, it's all about potential abundance and bounteousness.
Hmm.
Um, and it's about loving what you do. So again, there's this authentic energy we're seeing with the Scorpio gates. It's the 14 says you must do what you love, and if you do, then you will be able. If you do the work you love,
Hmm.
you will be able to generate wealth and power. So,
Fabulous.
which makes me think of one of the quests of ancient alchemists was to find the
Hmm.
fountain of youth, or to find the a way to turn lead into gold.
Hmm.
So there was some of those myths of magical ways of getting either eternal life, or in a sense, that access to wealth,
Right.
lead
So,
into gold, the alchemical sort of energy.
is there anything that stands out for you on the exploration and the review of the relationship between Scorpio and these corresponding gates?
Well, we saw, yeah, a couple things stand out. One is that there are a couple, I think 3 or 4 of those are splenic gates.
Hmm.
So it's that connection to survival awareness, that connection to the ancient awareness center that is linked to survival.
Hmm.
And there is something very, in a sense, primal about that. Um, So I was surprised by the connection of so many splenic gates in Libra. It
Hmm.
doesn't feel so surprising to me in Scorpio.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing that stood out was most of these gates are part of the individual circuitry.
Hmm.
And remember, individual circuitry is about rebellion, it's about innovation, it is about creativity, it's about being on the leading edge of evolution. And of
Hmm.
course, experiments or mutation is always can go either way. It can be a
Hmm.
negative mutation, or it can be a positive one.
Right.
But that sense of and the individual circuitry can be deeply melancholic, moody and slash creative. And so, okay, that felt like it fits. Remember, that was sort of one of my
Hmm.
guesses.
Yeah.
Uh, so that felt very confirming.
Hmm. So we talk about the gene keys. Can you make any correlations with the gene keys?
Well, a couple of the gates, gate 1 and gate, oh, where am I?
14.
Gate 1 and gate 14 are
Mhm.
called the Ring of Fire.
Mhm.
And, Richard Rudd's keynote for this is, these are the energetic germs at the heart of creation and the purpose of existence itself. That
Mhm.
feels very Phoenix-like, Scorpio-like, transformative.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, sorry.
Mhm.
Um, there was a couple of others there but it didn't I didn't find any particular patterns there.
Right. So is there
But
any, oh, go ahead.
I did, I don't know. And of course, I am a Scorpio sun, and I've got a couple of these, at least 2 or 3 of these Scorpio gates because I have a lot of planets in Scorpio. Um, so I might be biased, or it might be simply that I know myself better. But to me, it felt like um, I think of all the signs we've looked at so far, I felt the most resonance between astrology and the gates. They
Mhm.
felt quite Scorpio to me.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I don't know. That could be just because I'm more familiar with Scorpio. It makes me
Yeah.
wonder, and it's like, okay, maybe I don't know the other signs as well as I know Scorpio because
Right.
I'm maybe not feeling the connection as clearly. So I find that intriguing.
Yeah. But you also have studied yourself more than you have anybody else, right? I mean, this is one of the reasons that you got into this field, right? So,
Yes.
yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
So, next week, we're moving on. And what comes after Scorpio?
Sagittarius,
Sagittarius. Wow. We're moving through these.
another fire
Yeah,
sign.
another
Yes.
fire sign.
Sign
So,
of philosophy and religion and
mhm,
and optimism and faith.
mhm. So that join us next Wednesday at 9 a.m. and we'll dive into the gates of Sagittarius. And once again, if you feel like diving deeper into your chart or you've never had a human design and you'd like to, you can give us a call here at 587-596-3333 and book an appointment with Hartwell. And we'd be happy to do a deep dive into your chart and help reveal the authentic you. So, with that, God bless. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and we'll see you next week. Bye now.